Hi, hope you're having a great day. You're watching JG Entertainment, and for this video, I'm talking about Kung Fu Panda the Dragon Knight, and I'm just going to give my spoiler and non-spoiler review. The first half will be non-spoiler, just tell me whether it's good or not, whether you should watch it or not, and then the second half is going to be spoilers, so in case you haven't seen the show, and you just care about talking some spoilers about it, some of the good things, some of the bad things, then this is this review for you. So yeah, let's get started with just some info about the show, and then I'll start with the review. So first of all, the show is canon to the universe. It's set post Kung Fu Panda 3, however, it doesn't really acknowledge any of the past events, which is kind of weird. None of the characters show up besides Po and his dad. But besides that, none of the characters show up. So yeah, it's very detached from the universe, but it is canon. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So if you do just want to keep up with the Kung Fu Panda universe, then you should definitely watch the series just because it might be acknowledged in future movies, perhaps, who knows. And the show is 11 episodes, so it's a pretty good amount. It's not short, it's not 6 episodes, it's 11 episodes, so it has a good amount. And it just released like 2 weeks ago. It was on July 14th, that's when it released, so it's pretty brand new. It's honestly really brand new. The voice actor of Poe does return, so that's really good, that's really great. And yeah, that's pretty much some info on it, that basic info. And yeah, now let's move on to the actual review. So for the actual review, non-spoiler review, it's a show we're watching. Well, let's analyze some elements. First of all, I do think that Jack Black, the voice actor of Poe, did an amazing job with him. I think that's my favorite part of the show. Just I think that every time he voices Poe, it kind of adds like some extra like thing from him, and it kind of makes it very fun to just see. Clearly, he's having fun with the performance, and I really like the way that he voice acts. I think he reads the lines very well. So yeah, I love that. Then there's a bunch of new characters. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. The biggest new character is this knight. She's a knight from England, and she's very important to the story. She's super important. She's there like 50% with Poe. They share screen time most of the time they're together. So yeah, she's really important to the story of this show. And I felt like seeing kind of come across as very annoying, or she come across as very likable. It's very much either extreme of very likable or extreme of very annoying. It's never really the middle ground. I feel like it's always been like, oh, you know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting, kind of weird. They do give the character backstory, which I did appreciate, instead of just making her a bland character. I do feel like they did try to add some depth to her, and I do appreciate that. So they did add depth to her, which is great. Then there's the villains. The villains are clearly the worst part of the show, in my personal opinion. The voice acting is terrible, and the motivation sucks. I don't think that they're very threatening, to be honest. I just really didn't like the villains. The villains I think were really bad, and not just the main villains, not just these two main villains, but there's other villains that come across the story which I also think were very bad, except for one which ended up being a huge letdown in the finale, which I will talk about more in the spoiler review. Now, moving on from that, my favorite thing about the show is basically the world building that they kind of gives this universe. Besides Jack Black's voice acting, the kind of more outside world that we get of this universe. You know, in the Panda movies, we've always been limited with the amount of time that we have, with the 2 hours to just explore like the main storyline and very little of the actual universe. You know, you explore a little bit, but not enough. You know what I mean? Here you explore a lot more of the universe of China, of like, oh, these are the guards. You know, like the Rhino guards, they're back. Oh, this is that. You know, I really like the exploration of the China universe in this world of Kung Panda. I think it was really awesome to just see it. I was like, okay, so I really like the world building. I'm a huge fan of world building, and this clearly world building. The animation is okay. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of times it looked really bad, but it's not terrible. It's not something like that looks like super bad at all. I just think that it's not on par with the movies, which I kind of hate. I wish that it would be a little bit more on par. Sure, I get that it's in the show, so I would have a little budget, but I wish it would be a little more on par, because sometimes it just looks very dirty and not clear enough. You know what I mean? But besides that, it's not a huge thing that might distract you unless you're really into animation art styles, and you'll be like, oh, it's ugly. But besides that, I don't think it's gonna distract you very much. The episodes did feel like sometimes they would run for a little bit too long, and the storyline itself I felt like run for a little bit too long. I feel like this show should have been at least 4 episodes shorter. I feel like there was a lot of extra episodes that could have been cut down to and added to other episodes, and it would have been for a much more cleaner show than the way that they kind of did it. It felt kind of like The Mandalorian, you know, where they go to a certain spot, and then from there they have to do something to get whatever they want, and then from there they have to go to another episode, and they have to do whatever they want, and then you get a piece of information, kind of like that. That's kind of what it felt like. Except I felt like The Mandalorian did it a lot more effectively. This one didn't so much, because it kind of started feeling a little bit repetitive, and I started feeling like, oh, we're not getting anywhere. So yeah, that kind of sucked. But also, I did like some of the concepts that they introduced, which I'm going to talk more about in the spoiler review. But I did like some of the concepts that they introduced. I thought they were pretty cool. There's some certain weapons that I really like the concepts of and everything. So yeah, I do think that they did bring some original ideas. Besides that, I feel like if this is like, if you're an adult or something and you're thinking about a show, I don't think it's for you, honestly. It's very much a kid show. It doesn't have a lot of depth to it, to be honest. Besides Poe's story, I do kind of like Poe's arc in this boat, but it doesn't feel like something that would captivate adults. It's just, I think, a little too kiddish. You know, it is a little bit more serious in the movies, which I'm surprised. But I feel like the movies have something that will attract the grown-ups. They're like, okay, this is pretty good. That this won't, because this kind of feels a little bit lame, to be honest. A little bit more lower on scale, something that feels a little bit more forced. The voice acting in the show isn't great, besides Poe. But besides that, the voice acting in the show isn't great. I don't think that the fight scenes themselves are very great. But I do have to tell you, there's a lot of fight scenes. Every episode has a fight scene at least. So if you're here for the fight scenes, you might actually like them. They're not great, like I said, but they aren't bad. There's a lot of fight scenes, so at least there's that. I think that's a really huge positive from the show that it has. But it just never felt like it came together in the finale. I waited to watch the whole thing to the finale, and the finale didn't make me feel like it came together any better. So yeah, I felt like the finale basically structured the way I thought of the show, and I thought the show is okay. Honestly, I thought it was an okay show. I think it's not bad by any means. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. I felt like it was very okay, very mid. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody to be like, oh, you should watch the show, unless you're a huge Kung Fu Panda fan. If you are a huge Kung Fu Panda fan, then maybe you'll like the show. But maybe it is a lot for your kids. I think your kids might enjoy the show a lot, perhaps, who knows. So if you want to watch this with your kids, or you want to put it for your kids, or if you want to watch it together as a family, I think this might be a really great show to watch as a family. It's very family friendly, nothing there's nothing bad in here, and it is entertaining enough, especially for kids. I think they might find it very entertaining. But besides that, I don't think you're going to be very captivated about it. I think you're going to be pretty bored. So yeah, that's how I would answer whether Kung Fu Panda Dragon Knight is good and whether you should watch it. That's a very simple answer. Basically, if you're an adult, don't watch it. I don't think you will like it unless you're a huge fan of Kung Fu Panda. And if you want to watch your kids, great show to pick. I think you're really going to like it. But still, I feel like maybe there's better shows to show them. I don't think this is honestly great. Like I said, it's very much an okay show. Very okay. I'll probably give it like a 5 out of 10 or like a 6 out of 10 at most. So yeah, very okay show. Now, spoiler review. We're going to spoilers. So spoiler warning right here. Spoiler warning. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to start. So, first of all, let's talk about the huge plot twist at the end, which is that the girl was not a knight. In fact, she was just like a person that was trying to get revenge for her brother's death. And I thought this plot twist came off very interestingly, but I don't think it made it any better for the character. I don't think the character was a lot better. I can definitely see where this was going. Like, I think that they made enough setup. And looking back in hindsight, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe she isn't Dragon Knight. But she clearly values all the Dragon Knight codes and everything, so I do like that. And you can definitely see that she's out for revenge. She's very mad. Her whole like attitude definitely shows it. So I do like that the show didn't like wasn't like, oh, out of nowhere she's not a knight. No, I do think that it worked, but I just don't think the plot twist did anything to really enhance the story. I feel like it was just a plot twist for, oh my god, she's not a knight, but like I really could care less if she was a knight or not a knight. It really didn't work. So yeah, not a fan of the plot twist. Then the villains, I thought the villains were very, very lame. The voice acting was really annoying, like I mentioned in my non-spoiler part. But also I thought that they never posted an ultimate threat. I thought that the backstory of them was really bad, and I kind of like I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was anything interesting. I really thought that they were gonna add some depth to them, but instead they just made them really lame. So yeah, the villains were not it for this show. I think they really messed up the show. I think they would have had some good villains. This could have been amazing, especially since the past Kung Fu Panda movies have had amazing villains, but this was not it. I think there's a huge downgrade from the first movies to this huge downgrade. So yeah, these villains were not it. The villains are not good. The other antagonist that there was in the show that I found really cool at the start was that one reindeer knight. I thought that guy was super awesome. He looked super cool. I was like, that guy is awesome. That guy means business. And then the final episode, they really messed him up. They really made him annoying. I was like, really? That's it? That's all you have? Because in that. And whenever he first came in and kind of broke out Poe, he was so cool. He was awesome. I was like, that guy means business. Now we're getting somewhere to speed up the show. And then they didn't show him until like the last 2 episodes. And yeah, it did not work. I thought it was very lame the way they showed him. His fight scenes did not deliver at all. He seemed like he kind of Kung Fu Panda himself, Poe. Got nerfed so bad from the previous movies. He mastered Chi and everything. And what happened to that? What happened to that? He was so powerful. And now he's just weak. He just completely nerfed. I don't know why. I felt like he should have been a lot stronger. So yeah, that did not help. A lot of side characters, like the porcupine guy, super annoying. I find him super annoying. The guard, the crocodile guard or the snake guard, also super annoying. Nothing special. The emperor, extremely annoying. The emperor was so bad. And then the monkey, the monkey, also super annoying. So yeah, no, the characters were not in the show. I think the characters were probably the worst part of the show. Just the night person. Maybe I think she was okay. I don't think that she was necessarily bad, but I don't think she was necessarily good. I think she made a good partner for Poe enough, but I don't think that she ever elevated the show to another level. I thought she was just there, you know what I mean? Even the voice acting from Rita Ora, I didn't feel like it was that great. I thought it was just there, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about the show. The final fight was pretty cool. I did like how they were fighting, but the cliffhanger ending, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Felt super unsatisfying. I felt super satisfied. I didn't know it was gonna end a cliffhanger, and it did not work at all for me. I thought it was like, why is there a cliffhanger? You know what I mean? They didn't ruin the fight. The fact that they had to let him go because they were losing. I don't know. I felt like there was enough elements. I felt like you could have made a really cool battle, and then you ended up in a really cliffhanger ending just to like keep the story going. When I really don't feel like the story needed any more to go. I feel like the whole everything that got set up could have been ended right there, right then. I didn't feel like those any loose ends. You know, you could have ended the story right there, but instead you didn't, and that really bothered me, to be honest. I really thought that was really annoying. I was like, this cliffhanger ending is really annoying because it makes the whole season feel very kind of like a wasted time. You know, I felt like I wasted so much time watching this show because it's like every episode you get a new goal and a new setback, and a new goal and a new setback. Even like episode, like I think it was like episode 8 or episode 9, whenever you finally catch them, and then what happens? Paul messes it up because he takes them to the long way and everything. You know, you get a new setback and it kind of becomes very redundant and very annoying. It felt like they were just stretching out the story, and then you know you finally get to the final episode and I'm like, okay, it's finally gonna get resolved, and then it just results in a huge mess that doesn't even get resolved. You know what I mean? And I thought the ending was very frustrating. The good side to that is that they did set up a very good season 2. So yeah, let me talk about it a little bit. But before that, I do want to say that my favorite thing about this show, like my favorite kind of aspect of the explain show, was kind of like the comic book writing thing. That the comic book episode was really good. I think that was my favorite one, the comic book one. But I just really like comic books because obviously superheroes and everything. So comic books are really good right now and they're like the thing of the moment. You know what I mean? But I think it's just really cool that they explore comic books, and like Poe was a really huge comic book fan, and how like a writer died, and how they had to like he has his last draft right there, and you know he doesn't know, and the son doesn't want to release to the public and everything, all that type of stuff. I thought that was very strong, and the way that the knight kind of talked to the poor guy, that the son of the comic writer, and kind of made him think about why the fans should be able to read this for themselves, and how this is his last thing that he wrote for them, you know, and everything. I thought that was really great. I was like, this is my favorite episode. This episode was by far the really strong one. I was like, okay, this one has superior writing. I really like that. Plus comic books and everything has always been an interesting part of me, so yeah, I still really like that. The other thing is that the weapons, you know, the weapons that they kind of set up in this show, they're going to weapons from Ninjago. Come on, let's be honest. They're going to Ninjago. You know how they had like the 4 golden weapons? That's what these are like. Like, you know, they have the wind one, you have the fire one, you have the earth one, you know, you have the lightning one, all this type of stuff. You know, the ice one. You know, it really felt like watching Ninjago golden weapons. I was like, this is so much like Ninjago. You know, really like Ninjago. So yeah, I find that very interesting. And I was like, you know, I don't know. I felt very much kind of like ripped out. Now, talking to season 2. So the cliffhanger basically was that, you know, the monkey has the lasso, you know, the fire lasso. Then you have the little knight also there, and then you have Poe. And they're all right there after they let go of Klaus and Baruka out of China, and now they're going to have to leave China to hunt them down in that small team. And I think that's a very interesting team. I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And also the data Poe. The data Poe is also coming. So clearly the cast has grown. I do think that it's going to be a lot better than the first season just by that setup. I think it sounds very awesome. You know, you have this whole cast, you have this whole team working together, you have the setup done. Okay, now we can have the chemistry work together and everything. I think it's gonna be super awesome. So I think season 2 already sounds a lot better. You're gonna move out of China, which means a lot more world building now in England. I think it's gonna be pretty awesome. And let's see what they come up with. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. I really don't hope they don't stretch the season as much. I really hope that they kind of keep it a little bit shorter. That way they can really concentrate on the story, on the main story, and not have all these side plots. But besides that, I think season 2 is very much better than already better set up than the first one. The show has not been confirmed for a release date. Nobody has a confirmed release date, but however, it does seem like they already have it written due to the ending. So if I had to guess a release date for season 2 of Kung Fu Panda: The Dragon Knight, I would probably guess it either next year in summer, just like this. This one came out in the summer, so just a year apart, or at very end of next year, which is the end of 2023. I do think that's probably when it's going to come. The viewership for this show hasn't been amazing, but it did make it to the top 10 of Netflix on its debut and everything, on its charts and everything. So it is interesting that it still made it up there. So maybe, you know, they might get a little more budget. Who knows? But I do think that this show at least was going to get season 2 just to finish the story that they have. And honestly, I think that's pretty much it. I don't think they're going to be enough for season 3. I think season 2 is going to be enough. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm excited for season 2. See what it brings up. I'm going to make sure to react to the trailers and probably review it since I already watched season 1 and started watching season 2. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my thoughts on spoiler review, and that's season 2 info. So yeah, that's all I have for you. It's also going to be made by DreamWorks just like this season, so just keep that in mind as well for season 2. And so yeah, that'll be it for this video. Please make sure to leave a like. It really helps with the video, so please leave a like. It really helps out. As well, subscribe for other content. I'm going to be doing a lot of reviews. I do a lot of reviews on animation and everything, so subscribe for a lot of other content. It really helps out, especially into animation or Marvel or DC or anything type of stuff. I'm cover all that, so definitely subscribe for all that content. And lastly, make sure to tell me down in the comments, what do you think about the series? Are you going to watch it, or have you already seen it? Tell me your spoiler comments down below, but just mark it as spoilers because I want anybody else that hasn't seen the series to see your comments as spoilers. So yeah, just tell me any thoughts about it down in the comments, and tell me what you're hoping to see in season 2. I'm very curious. Tell me that down in the comments. Yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and this is Jay Entertainment. out.